agree with and are on, as am I, and you're saying, hey, you're going to face this, and somebody's going to say, why is it right for an employer to discriminate? How should we answer that?
Well, I think the way to answer that is that, look, we rightly so say you can't discriminate on the basis of your gender because you are a female or you are a male, or you can't discriminate on the basis of race. But that's because those are objective traits that can be determined. This sexual orientation, sexual gender identity, in fact, perceived, that's all subjective and unverifiable, and it puts employers in an almost impossible situation. Plus, like I said, the way it's written, it's going to tell folks who have different views about that you can't speak about it, your First Amendment rights are silenced, and potentially you will lose your job if you have a view that's different from these folks who are trying to make this the mainstream point of view.
Okay. And so something that is attempting to, quote, fight discrimination. Number one, they're dealing with behavior and also subjective standards versus objective standards.
Right.
And so that is being used to silence others. And we've seen this in hate crimes legislation. Yes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And listen, I'll give you a real example that shows just how discriminatory this is. Look, the state of California has a state version of this very federal law they're trying to pass, and two employees in Oakland responded to the formation of a gay and lesbian employee association by trying to form their own called the Good News Employee Association, and they sent out a flyer that said that this was a forum for people of faith to express their views on the contemporary issues of the day with respect to the natural family, marriage, and family values. That's all it said. There wasn't a word in there about homosexuality. They were threatened with termination because their flyers, the employer said, were statements against homosexuality and obviously would harass people based on their sexual orientation. So this has already happened.
Well, I encourage people, if they want more information on this, afa.net, you can check that out. Sandy Rios in the morning is covering this issue, as we all are at AFR Talk, and to contact your representative, your senator and representative, be specific, in the upper and lower house. As you said, Hans, in the Senate, they have voted for cloture, which means they've cut off debate, and it looks like it's going to pass in the Senate. Yes?
Yeah, there's going to be a final vote probably later this week. Then it goes to the House.
All right. So we've got to let our voices be heard, and a way to do that is certainly to engage. Tell me something, Hans. Obamacare. Are people going to face the penalties for not complying with Obamacare if the website and all of these problems that we're seeing in the individual market specifically? Can they enforce that?
Well, yeah. I mean, the president hasn't said a thing about waiving the individual mandate or the fines and penalties, which is so fundamentally unfair when people are having trouble even trying to sign up for it.
Have they, just shifting, I'm going to a number of different topics, but just shifting to voting for 2014, what do you see coming up in the voting legislation on the Department of Justice and their approach to states that are trying to exercise certain laws, or that have put in place laws to verify identification like photo ID? Is this going away? Did we just get a small dose of it and it's going to come on big time in 2014 and 2016? What do you think?
Well, it's going to come on big time in 2014 because by then we should have decisions in the two lawsuits that the Justice Department has filed against voter ID. That's in Texas and North Carolina. On the other hand, listen, there's been good news recently. Just 2 weeks ago, the Tennessee Supreme Court upheld their voter ID law, said, hey, it wasn't discriminatory, but we're going to have to keep an eye out on what Eric Holder is doing in Texas and North Carolina.
And to read your book, Who's Counting? Tell me, Texas abortion law, will this make it to the Supreme Court?
It might, although, listen, there was a great ruling by three-judge Court of Appeals that tossed out the injunction that had been issued against the law by a federal district court judge. And something you won't hear, remember the supposed war on women and how terrible the conservatives are? The three judges who issued the decision throwing out the injunction were all women.
Well, that makes my day.
But I bet you didn't hear that in the news.
I didn't hear it. No, I did not. Bravo. And disparate impact. Tell me what it is real quick, Hans, because you said we dodged a bullet here, in a way.
Well, the left dodged a bullet. Disparate impact is this favorite theory of the Obama administration where they sue banks and companies and stuff, claiming not that they acted in a discriminatory manner, but that some neutral policy they put in has a disparate impact. You know, it affects people of one race more than others. And they're claiming that that is discriminatory under federal law. That's a very questionable claim. And there was a case before the Supreme Court out of a town, Mount Holly in New Jersey, that was going to settle that issue. And unfortunately, just last week, the city announced that they were settling the case, which means the Supreme Court won't be able to rule on it. That's the second time in 2 years that a case has been before the Supreme Court on this issue, and liberals have found a way to get rid of the case because they are afraid.
They're afraid of
the Department is going to say this is not a valid way of filing a lawsuit.
They can't handle it.
No.
Right. Hans, thank you, my friend. Great to be with you. Take care.
Thank you, Craig.
Take care. Brain Durham's Nothing But Truth. We're pretty much out of time. I'll tell you about something along the lines of prayer tomorrow, but live with honor in your life, compassion in your heart. Always keep the faith in Jesus Christ. Know that God loves you. Go to the Facebook page, engage AFR Talk. Brain Durham's Nothing But Truth.